Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today, whatever today is. I think today's a Tuesday. Pretty sure today's a Tuesday. All right, let's start the hip hop music, which is funny. I like the hip hop music, and I don't like hip hop generally speaking, but I like the music they've got. It's called hip hop. I don't know. So I was just thinking. I was just referring this morning. I was saying, oh man, I was watching videos from behind the scenes for a K-pop group that I'm watching now, and just watching them kind of gather their team together. They've got a little documentary on how the team got assembled and things like that, and them swapping out members and stuff like that. And then I was watching an interview, and they were talking about the fans of this group. And first of all, the thing that I find fascinating is that there are already a gajillion fans for this group, and the group hasn't even debuted yet at this point. And they're already talking on Los Angeles radio and stuff like that. But the thing that I was like, ha ha ha, that's so funny, is that they've named their fans. So the group named their fans, right? So the fans are named by the group, which that's interesting because like that's not the way it works here. Whatever fans you are, like Trekkies didn't call them, it wasn't like Star Trek assigned Trekkies. Yeah, we called ourselves Trekkies, and then somewhere along the line, it sort of got stuck. I mean, I know that Roddenberry thinks that he thought that he got me. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point that I'm trying to get at is I'm like making fun of them because I'm like, they've assigned names to their fans. And then I realized we call you guys quackers. I was like, well, so there's that. Anyway, all right. And get to work. Get to work. Good morning, Brent. You're a quacker too. Wouldn't you like to be a quacker too? I wasn't going to fear, but now I might. I mean, if there's like a reason to. I should make this news like more like this. Maybe I should. Anyway. So, interesting side note, I woke up this morning and like as I was rolling over to grab my phone, my back popped in like 5 different locations. And now I feel really, really good. It's like a chiropractor meeting or something. I don't know. It was just like getting out of bed this morning. It was kind of cool. You're of the death pond. You're not gonna fall for this us naming you crap, huh? I don't know what that's about. Alrighty. We need to pull up the previous one. Actually, don't need to do that. We need to do this the other way. So there's no way to do this except to, man, I can't just import and click and drag, huh? I mean, it's okay. We'll get there, but still. Right? Like, it's like, oh! Well, okay, so because of the way I used to sleep was with one leg raised so that the pressure was off of my lower spine. But then I would start getting the cramps in my calves and in my the arches of my foot. So I had to keep my legs extended all night long in order for the cramps to stay away. And the cramps have been slowly going away. And in doing so, I've been able to go back to the way I usually sleep. And with having one leg bent, I was able to reach over like this while my back was relaxed instead of tensed up, and it just popped all the way down like a zipper. It was like clack, 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 clack. And now I'm like totally mobile this morning. I've been moving around. I've been standing up straight, which I don't think I've been doing in a while. I think I've been hunched over for quite a while. And this morning I was standing up straight. It was like I was seeing on top of the refrigerator, which I haven't seen in a long time. And I never realized how much I have been sort of hunching over slowly, as I get older. This is 9. We're at the end. So we're at the very end here. Which is a great thing. But yeah, I'm super excited about that. If nothing else, just because it is nice. I don't think I've realized how long I have been, I don't know, hunched over. Because I'm not kidding. Some people would say that they feel like 10 years younger. I feel 10 years younger all of a sudden. Yes, I'm going to meet with Ron this Saturday, weather permitting. And then we're going to talk about cover. And when we do, I'll discuss whether we are going to we'll discuss whether we can hold for a little bit on the cover, or whether he really needs it right this second. Can I get to work, please? Look, we're at early cat prep. Can we? I mean, like literally, I've been working for 10 minutes, and now you want scritches. And I love giving you scritches, but no, scritch your butt because it's colored cat poopy. Fork, 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 fork. Thank you. See, somehow you've managed to make me click something I shouldn't have clicked. Mom's still here. Go pester her. Anyway, I'm going to talk to Ron about giving me until um, until we've got until Wicked West before I do the cover, and then we'll roll this guy out, and that won't be a problem. By the way, as a side note, observation, all of the maquettes in here have the body type set, but I am doing no character design inside this. These are just static jazz forms. So all of the character designs are going to be all drawn by impossible hair. It's always impossible hair. And I'm going to be doing all of the character drawings based off of previous character drawings, and not so. Yeah, right. I remember when we did this first drawing of her, Safrine, when we did her work the first time, I said, giving her some serious 1970s Farrah Fawcett hair. And I remember thinking, who would do Farrah Fawcett hair back in post-apocalyptic world? And so here we are, still doing Farrah Fawcett hair for her. We haven't seen Safrine in a while, so you haven't really seen her up on here until now. Apparently she had Farrah Fawcett hair, so who knew? But she's the preener in the group, so reading the books, very much her style to preen and be pretty and things like that. So it's the character's nature to do that. So I went ahead and preened her, so she's preening. It's kind of funny because when I draw things like this with a Farrah Fawcett-esque style, and I think part of it also is that she's the mother figure in here. Yeah, you may want to wait a little bit before start. I mean, that's not necessarily true. Actually, I could stand to have you read these books, because if you did, and I started going, I'm drawing this character and she's a blah blah blah, you could say, I didn't read that in the character, and I'd be like, okay. So it wouldn't be a bad thing if you read them. Then I'd be like, we're gonna do this wrong. I'd rather do it right than do it. There are things which have to be done my way. Bellatrix Rising is going to be done my way. Silver Pentacle needs to be done right, and that's a different thing. unlike Gene Roddenberry, I am not anti-zipper. Gene Roddenberry hated zippers. No. You're not the boss of me. I'll do what I want. Every joke I make is generally speaking a Star Trek joke. Don't you give me that sarcastic Vulcan salute. Don't disobey me again. I do what I want. The newsreels are bringing up stuff about the English. I don't know. She may be recoiling a little too much. So I'm gonna recall the Dad's studio and then maybe repop that. I feel like she's not recoiling. She's yes, whatever. Good heavens. And not that I mind some of these things, but I mind some of these things. Like every time I open an application, there used to be a time. See, now I start to feel like those old people. This is how I start to feel like old people because I'm like, there once was a time when I would like I would start something or do something and it didn't require me to approve 60 things and get to my phone and put in a 12-digit code. And I mean, I just did my work every day. And now I feel like every morning I wake up to have to approve new updates and approve this and check my codes and type in codes and like just to get stuff started in the morning. I mean, like, I've got to do all of this stuff, and I appreciate that they're trying to protect my privacy and yada yada yada. Um, However, it does start to get on me at some point here where I'm like, all right, just straightening her up a little bit. Because I know she's bothered by the kid, and that's okay. But I feel like we've got a little too much bothered by the kid going on here. I don't know. I think I'm getting also more aggravated because the more I go on reading these things and learning these things, the more I realize that in life in general, most people have been very good to me and nice. And yes, I'm in a privileged position, but I also think that in general, people are nice. And so I'm kind of doing all of this stuff is extra work for that 0.0001% chance that something is going to go wrong. And, when it happens, yes, I am grateful that we took all of these precautions. But until then, it's just, oh. And it's like, was it worth it to do all of these things every day, all the time? Left hand, let's do something like this. Like, she should be disturbed. Right. Right. Like she's fussing with stuff. Back in my day, when things were different and stuff, people weren't so people, and when I was your age. So now she's facing Jordan, but she's looking at the child. I like that a whole lot better. I mean, I'm like working hard to specifically do stuff in my stories where this isn't an issue, you know? Like, I'm talking about, I'm even trying to figure out why does the Commonwealth need more space, more things? What does the Commonwealth need moment for? Resources? Because Originally my whole mission was they wanted it for tactical reasons. But tactically speaking, the unity isn't really much of a threat to the Commonwealth. Tactically speaking. So I'm kind of doing what does patch that in a little better. Makes it a little easier because I like Aletta being a little bit more like she's looking at this but facing here. You know what I mean? This makes it a little bit better. Just a little less weird. So okay, we get that tactically speaking the Commonwealth wants moment. But let's talk about that. Why? Why does the Commonwealth want moment? These are all things that kind of make me go, okay, so they want moment because it's a tactical advantage that would block the unity from having the planets on the other side of the wall. But what's the end game? Like, okay, so they blocked the unity from the other side of the wall. Congratulations. What's the mission state? Why do they want to destroy the unity? Why do they want to fight the unity? What's the ultimate start there? So I've been trying to think of the why. Because everybody has a why. Everybody has a why. Even Germany in World War II had a why. Why did they kill the Jewish people? That was entirely, there's a why behind that. You can even see where logical missteps were made, where people made a mistake in their thought process, where people made an error in their assumptions. They made an error in their belief systems. They made an error in something that made them go down a road, which ultimately ended up with them wiping out Jewish people horribly. And by the way, I am not apologizing for anything. There is a certain amount of risk in making these discussions because, reasonably so, people think I'm justifying it. I'm not. I promise I'm not. But I mean, like, there's a why to everything. It's very flat to me to have people just hurt people just because they're bad. That's a very flat question. So I'm asking the question of why. Why do we have a problem? What was the start of this? What occurred to make the Commonwealth do what it's doing? That's what I am. I'm kind of pondering this one. Letta has a round face. She's ethnic. And ethnicness is that of a Pacific Islander or an islander of some sort. Which gives her a rounder face and more arched eyes like so. And anyway, eyes go like so. Up because the head isn't up like it should be. So let's make sure that is doing this. And I've given her eyebrows points over here. So I'm going to... it's interesting that... That's right. Aletta is known as the Glider because she's Islander. It's interesting, though, that specifically Ron indicates that she's black. And though I don't think she's necessarily black, I think she's dark. She's dark-skinned because she's an Islander, but I don't think she's black. I think she's got all of the dark hair, dark eyes. And I'm wondering if that's a part of it. So, the reason I'm saying that is when you read Silver Pentacle, do me a favor and check to see if ethnicity is specifically says that she's black or just dark skinned. Because dark skinned is a different problem than black. So when you read Silver Pentacle, my friend, please check ethnicity for me. It's funny. Ethnicity tends to be something that we don't want to discuss because it's, it's not good to categorize people by ethnicity. But as artists, that's like literally our job. So I feel uncomfortable mentioning ethnicity though, because it feels to me like we are categorizing. When I have to draw this character, it is critical that we mention ethnicity. People, and that's the other thing. I love ethnicity, differences in people, and differences in people. It's so cool. Everybody's got such an interesting face, interesting design, interesting ability, and everybody is so beautiful. And it's just kind of I love thinking about the way that we are all different and all of the different ways that we're different, and then thinking about how much we're the same. All of these differences, the way we look, the way that our cultures are, everything like that, and in the end, we're really just the same. In the end, even you are kind of like us, but you're fluffier. I'm just saying, you're a fluffier animal than we are. We're not as fluffy an animal as you are. You're a fluffy animal. You require more switches. You're going to do the thing. You know what? I'm going to go get coffee. Watch me get up. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm going to stand up real quick and stretch since my back wants to be good to me today. And go the right direction. And not cramp. Like the amazing thing that's happened today. You know what's amazing today, George? Look at this. I can touch the ground. I haven't been able to touch the ground in a long time. And I used to think it was because I was overweight, and it's not. It's not because I'm overweight. It's because joints. All of my joints are screwed up. Right, George? All my joints are screwed up. Okay, I'm going to put you guys on temporary hold since I want to go get coffee. I'll be right back. All right. Pretty. Sorry about that. Break over. We're still adjusting stuff. Sorry, guys. This will be a little noise. Sorry. Trying to make it less noisy, but trying also whenever I'm bending down to not bump my head into the microphone, which seems weird. All right. Alrighty. Nope. It switches to brush. No, I'll just switch to brush. Let's switch to pen. Useful. Let's switch to pen. So, Brent, what do you know of instant coffee? Asks me importantly. Ah. I'm actually going to set that because I don't want short. So I want that to be P. So we're going to go over here and set pen tablets controls. Well, can you put it in cold water and will it work? That's the question I have. Because I don't mind it being questionable in quality. My biggest problem that I'm having right now is I'll drink down to here and then go downstairs to find that my beloved wife, has drank the last of the coffee out of the pot. Now, as we have oft discovered, there we go. Um, anyway, they will. She will pour the last of the coffee in. So I asked her. I said, "Hey, because what I'm doing right now to buff this back up is put iced tea in here, iced tea powder, powdered iced tea. But that tastes not funny per se, just not coffee, right?" So this last time, she got instant coffee for me, and the idea is when I'm down to here in the coffee line, I can just put a scoop of instant coffee in and bring the water back up, put more ice in, shake it up real good, and make it run. And I'm okay if it's iffy. Iffy coffee doesn't bother me. Just like you, I got my wartime experience. It's just that it was in a junior high. But teacher's room coffee is not much better than military coffee in any way, shape, form, or fashion. There's an awful lot of things that military and teacher's room have in common. I'm just saying. Um. Oh, fax reception is up and running. Why do I have fax reception running in on my? I don't even. I don't even, guys. I don't even. I don't. All I can do is open the receiving fax record, which won't work. And it wants me to install the print driver in order for me to shut it down. God. I don't even, guys. Exit. So many things are just running. What I need is my pen controls on my tablet. Anyway, just making sure that I don't have little clumps of coffee in my instant coffee. If I put a scoop of coffee in there, I won't end up with it being oh, I can change the temperature. That's kind of cool. Who knew? Which is fine. My temperature seems to be okay. Yep, I'm okay. Shortcut keys. That's what I want. All right. K1 needs to be shortcut key P. Okay, so that is undo, or it is alt. 6 is undo, and 7 is zoom in, and 8 is zoom out. Okay, that's perfect. That's what we want. Setup that we wish, and that way I can have go to P or 10. Right. There we go. So I'm trying to set up. There are 8 keys on the right side of my tablet, and there are 8 keys on the left. And I'm just making sure that I want it to be setting up so that you can see over here on the controls, I've got eraser and pen, and that's what I really want. But it's by default set up for eraser and brush. I don't use brushes that much. I mean, I can click over here to fuss with brushes when I get to that. The real thing I do is mostly eraser and pen. So want to make sure that I have. And this is one of those where just a small amount of change in our setup gives us a very different feel on that one. And this will give us an idea of where we are. As far as this goes, we're actually not doing bad. All four characters now have their faces in. There's a plus. That was most of their faces in. I put in Jordan's face yesterday, just before I went to bed, and now I'm like, questionable. All right. don't double tap that key. I'll end up with chalk. Now, he always wears his long coat, so I'm going to even in this situation, but that's because he's not immortal, so this stuff doesn't bother him too terribly much. So I'll put this long coat on him again. It's fine. Now this cube long coat, which he puts on all the time. Unless otherwise noted. Right, so we'll just kind of come along here. Here we go. We'll actually come up over this area right here with the chest piece of that long coat. There we go. The same thing over here, just kind of keeping it this way. Now I want this long coat to be blowing in the wind. It's the notes that I had made last night on here. I want this to be blowing in the wind. So we're going to bring it over and across his chest and then bring it back. So bring it back across here. This part of his chest, we're going to do that to indicate that it's flowing around him like this. It's giving a little bit of a flowing around him sort of effect. And over here, we're going to actually bring it in and then bring it back out like so. And give wrinkles here to indicate that things are moving, right? So that's what this is about. We're just going to give the indication that things are in motion. And we're going to have it come out like that. And Pepper has joined us. We have been joined by a wild pepper.
Uh-oh.
Now you're a wild pepper, whether you like it or not.
I don't know if I like it.
Yeah, well. I don't know if you have much of a choice in the matter. We've decided we're calling everybody quackers, so, there's that. I was watching a documentary on one of my K-pop groups.
Uh-huh.
And they were doing interviews with people, and one of them was like, they were talking about their fans, and they had a name already chosen, even though this group doesn't exist yet. Like, the group was being built, and so, like, already, I mean, there were, I'm sure there were fans, but it was like, gosh, you guys don't even exist yet, It was so funny, because I'm like, you even have names for your fans, and I was like, well, that's weird. Then I was like coming out here, and I was like, we call everybody quackers on here, and I'm like, well, really, I'm now the calling people silly while doing the same thing. So I'm in the glass house throwing stones. I think that made some sense, but probably not. That's okay.
That's fine. I'm
You've been friends with me long enough that it's okay now. You just are used to it.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah. I figured. George, are you feeling unloved? Are you feeling particularly unloved this morning? Because this is like the third visit. Why does it do that whenever you do that?
I tried to share my screen, but
Oh, it's because he's sitting on the mouse. I can't help you. My cat is sitting on the mouse.
mouse.
There's nothing I can do for you. The cat is sitting on the mouse. This is all George's fault. Meow, 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 meow. Of course, this is the total reason why you do this 5 times a show. You know that.
Well, of course.
Because I keep
Because
scritching you. If I wouldn't scritch you, this wouldn't be a problem. But I scritch you all the time. And you're drawing actually none here. Hi, how are you? Are you a cat? You're a cat. That's all right. I can take a cat break and talk to Pepper. How you doing, Pepper?
I am so over these cards already.
Right? Been down that road. Been down that road a lot. Probably more than I want to admit.
Well, also, like, I guess I also have to basically see if this violates like a something before I produce this as well now.
It violates of something.
Basically the company I once worked for, like they may question this project.
Why? It has nothing to do with their project.
No, it doesn't. But like, if they deem it so that whatever, I just have to make sure that it doesn't come across as a game.
Okay, now there are some seriously overreaching NDAs in the world out there.
Basically, if it looks like a game, they will talk to me about it, and I don't want to talk to them about it because it's not a game.
Okay.
That even remotely is like theirs. So I already have a message prepared just in case.
The only reason I say that is at some point in time, I'm going to be making my Bellatrix Rising card game. And I do. I may or may not ask Pepper to draw some pieces for my Bellatrix Rising card game.
Yeah.
Whether Pepper is interested or not is up to Pepper. However, I would be aggravated if your previous employer stops us from doing that. You know what I mean?
Well, I have a quick question. Do you plan to do this year?
I don't know. Maybe. Plausibly.
If you do it this year, I still am not allowed.
Okay. You're not allowed to work on any card game at all?
Correct.
Who's what?
Anything that can be considered a competitor of the previous game I worked on, yes.
Wow. Wow. Oh, come on, dude. Really?
Are you talking to your cat?
No, I'm talking to the guy that just drove down the road. His car is absolutely covered in snow, and he has cut out little holes in his window in the snow so he can see out his rear windows. And I'm like, really?
Why didn't he just wipe off the snow?
Right. I mean, it's not like we had a lot of snow. I'd understand if his car was completely buried, but that's the height of lazy.
We got a lot of snow yesterday, so
We got dusted. This isn't.
Yeah.
We got dusted. The sidewalks are already mostly clear just by wind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
No,
it wasn't
that's
even
best.
sun. It's just wind, and it's
No,
clearing.
I woke up this morning and it was -6.
Well, no, it's freaking cold out there.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really cold out there. That's not the problem. I mean, it's just that the snow we got was ridiculously light. It was nothing. We got dusted. And the fact that this person couldn't be bothered to just take their snow brush, you know what I mean? Like, instead they just took their little ice scraper and scraped across the thing. I'm like, win. Not only that, you don't want to ever, hi, how are you? You don't ever want to make it so that you can't see.
Right.
It's like people just don't understand how dangerous it is to drive a vehicle. They underestimate it. They underestimate it.
It's almost as if they don't know on how to drive properly, and they need to be taught.
Right? You've heard about the new law that they're putting in. They're talking about here in our Congress, right?
No.
There's a new law that is on the board right now in Colorado's Congress that's saying everyone under the age of 21 is required to have driver's ed. Everyone. You know what that means for my job? That means I will never have time off ever again. It's all right, though.
Wait, so they're saying, like, pretty much, like, the service that you do has to be enacted by everyone 21 and under.
Yep.
I can get behind that.
I was about to say, I'm not arguing. I'm going to be busy as all get out, but I'm certainly not arguing. I think everybody should take driver's ed. Everybody should take driver's ed.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot about cars. I know a lot about safety. I know a lot about things, but as soon as I started learning how to teach driver's ed, I learned a whole bunch of new stuff that I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, I had no earthly idea. And some stuff I learned by driving on a racetrack, not by actually, like, knowing it because somebody taught it to me, like threshold braking. I didn't threshold brake. I just pumped the brakes. You know what I mean? Like, and there is a difference between pumping your brakes when you're sliding on ice and threshold braking. Like, there is a functional difference between those two. And I didn't know that until I started racing. You know?
Well, I mean, let's be realistic. Like, if you come from another state originally, like I did, and you're under 21, and you have a driver's license that's from the other state, are they going to become California, and where they have a rule in California, if you come from another state, you have to take and pass the California driving test in order to have a license in California?
I don't know. I don't know what the ramifications of that are. I know that they're just saying that all kids need to have had driver's ed.
Well, I know when I was talking to friends who had teenagers when I was living down in Colorado Springs, they told me that their kids had to have driver's ed in order to get their license.
I mean, all people have to have driver's ed if they're under the age of 15. You have to have driver's ed. You have to have 30 hours. Right. That's who I teach. All the 14-year-olds I teach are all because you have to have driver's ed. But once you hit 18, you don't have to have anything. You just walk in and get a license. You have to pass the eye test, and that's it. And that's part of the problem is we are getting a lot of road deaths. And most of the time it's this crap that's killing them. It's snow and ice, and they don't have the techniques. They don't know what to do. They have no idea what's the proper and appropriate way to do stuff. And so that's what's killing them off.
It's not natural selection?
So the idea
I'm
is
sorry, was that inappropriate?
So the idea is that we will be making it easier for them to
not die.
You got it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish that Florida would do something like that. And I only say that because when I was growing up at 16, I was being taught on how to get into car accidents and basically save my own life
Man,
while doing that. So I don't think, like, when you're teaching 15, 16-year-olds on how to drive, like, they should have to be worried about that.
That's saving life?
No, I mean, basically, specifically, like, being taught how to crash a car so that you minimize damage to you and hope that you don't get injured.
Oh, yeah. I teach stuff like that.
Yeah. But I'm talking like...
the things I teach are things like sometimes your choices are the better of two crappy choices. I'm coming up on a brick wall and my choice is to hit the car next to me or the brick wall. I'm going to hit the car next to me because there's probably a lot of safety. There's safety features in both of our cars that will save us. And so we will both be okay. But if I hit the brick wall, it's just me against the brick wall. So it's my safety features, are not as viable at that point. I teach things like that. But the big things that I teach are like your magic numbers, right? The magic numbers are like 30 miles an hour. 30 miles an hour and below, you have great capability, right? Some users like, you have permission to be dead. Anyway, but I mean, like 30 miles an hour and under is your magic number for keeping control of the vehicle. So if you can bleed off enough speed to get under 30, then you can keep control of the vehicle on a swerve or dramatic anything. But until then, you want to hold it as straight as possible, right? Which is one of the reasons where a lot of people make mistakes, right? They will be going 60 and they will suddenly swerve and then the car will flip and roll. Well, that's not what you want to do. So if you know that technique and you know ahead of time, then when you come up on a situation, rather than trying to swerve out of the way, you'll hit the brakes and try to bleed off all your speed, then swerve out of the way, Oh, gotcha. Some users going on and making... I corrected it automatically, some user. I apologize. That was not a knock against your English ability. I can see how that might have sounded like it was. I knew you knew what you were talking about. So yeah, I mean, that's like that magic number is something that you just have to know, and I have to tell other people that, And of course, your terrain may vary. Like snow drops that magic number down to about 20. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe even 15 on ice.
Well, there's a reason why universally across the United States, residential areas, it's 25 miles an hour.
Right. And That's because a kid is going to jump out in front of you. And so you need to be able to swerve. If you're doing more than 25 or you're doing more than 30, then you're going to lose control of the vehicle and still hit the kid and kill you. It's like, that didn't help anybody.
Well, my whole thing is like when like I was learning on how to drive.
By the way, hang on real quick. Hi, some user. Welcome back to the show.
So also, I believe Griffin is waiting to be let in.
Oh, he is, isn't he? Why didn't it beep? I don't know why. I don't know why it didn't beep. I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that he's not using video. Or maybe I didn't hear it beep because somebody was talking at that time.
Oh, don't blame me. Thanks.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to blame you.
You mean that he came in when you were talking?
Well, that may be also why. And by somebody, it may have been me who was talking. I'm just saying. I mean, it's funny to say I'm blaming you, Pepper, but the truth is I really was kind of including me as well. So.
How you doing this morning?
All right, how about you guys?
Doing okay so far. Boy, I'm cooking along on these pictures.
Nice.
Yep. Oh, yeah. There is a huge hill right here next to my house, which, I mean, it's like a big hill. And back when I was a kid, there was no light at the top of the hill. Now they've got a light at the top of the hill, which I think has made life markedly more complicated for people. But back when I was a kid, there wasn't. So you'd crest the hill and you'd come down the other side of that hill. And it's a huge hill. And I was 17 years old. I had my mom's car. My mom's car was relatively new. I think it was about 3 years old. So it was still pretty new. And she was very happy with it. She loved this car. And she loaned it to me to go to a Halloween party. And I'd gone to the Halloween party and I was on my way back and it was snowing and, all kinds of nasty stuff. And so I come up on the hill and I knew it in my head. I was like, uh-oh, it's Hackberry Hill. Okay, I can do this. This will be fine. So I slowly made it up the upper side of the hill. And I crested the hill and I was like, yay, I made it. And I start going down the other side and the car starts going sideways. Started turning. So I turned into the skid and I started pumping the brakes like you're supposed to. Pump, 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 pump. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to threshold brake, not pump your brakes. I didn't know that. What did I know? So I pumped the brakes and for some reason it caused some kind of weird syncopation with the automatic transmission. But the car stalled. I've never heard of an automatic stalling, but this one stalled. And as soon as it stalled, I lost power brakes and I lost power steering. And so now I'm dead stick going down the hill, right? I've got to turn the wheels like really hard to turn. The brakes aren't really working very well and everything, and all the lights are on. I'm trying to start the car, but an automatic won't start in drive. It must be in neutral or park. And whatever it was that I had done to that transmission, it would not move. The shifter wouldn't move. It was solid, so it wouldn't shift. I couldn't get it into neutral. So here I am. I can't start the vehicle. I'm sliding sideways down this huge hill. The light that I'm coming up on turns red, naturally. So I'm starting to slide into this intersection sideways. So I just laid on the horn, like, meep. And the thoughts that are going through my brain are, my mom's brand new car and I'm going to wreck it. I'm going to wreck my mom's brand new car. I made it through. I slid right into the middle of the intersection with my horn blaring and slid through the light and then got to the middle of the intersection and creeped to a stop. And once I got to a stop, everybody was staring at me. but nobody moved because we all understood. Everybody knows what snow and ice means. Put the car in park. It worked then. As soon as the wheels stopped moving, it was apparently fine. I put the car in park, started it, put the car in drive, and drove home. And then the next day, I was telling my buddy Aaron about that. And he's like, that wouldn't have happened if you had a manual. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you just put the clutch in and then start it. And it would have started right up. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And he goes, and you'd have more control. It wouldn't have stalled on you like that either. I'm like,
That's actually true.
and he's like, it wouldn't have done that if you'd been in the manual. And I was like, teach me how to drive a manual, Aaron. And he did. And ever since then, I've never driven an automatic. I had one automatic since then because I inherited my grandmother's car. But I'm not kidding. I keep buying manuals because of that one instance when I was 17 years old. I don't screw around anymore. I just drive.
Manuals tend to also technically be a little bit cheaper.
They are always cheaper because nobody likes them.
Yeah.
Which makes it nice for me. I don't mind. You can make it cheaper. I'm good.
Yeah, my first car was a manual.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I swear by manuals. I will always swear by manuals. I'm sad because I know that my days driving manuals are numbered because of the nature of America.
Well,
See,
I mean,
some user gets like to be European. Like in Europe, manuals are still around all over the place. Here in America, everybody's like, I don't like to drive those things. So they don't. And so like I envy some user. It's like I know you're gonna be able to.
well, I was watching like a thing that was produced, I want to say in 2020
Yeah.
or 2020. And they were given the illusion that COVID was when they were filming. They gave the illusion that COVID was not happening.
Right.
So like there was no like masks or anything going around, but like the main character was like, "Oh no, I know how to drive a manual. I learned when I was like 12." And I was like, "Okay, well, fun. You get to drive the European style sports car now."
Right. It always cracks me up a little bit whenever people are like they do the great race or whatever that is, and every time they do it, there's always a manual involved in the cars that they have to drive, and always there's a team member who has no clue how to drive a manual. And I'm like, you know what? If I were to get my team together and we were all going to join the great race or whatever, I'd say, okay, Pepper, David, you're on my team. You both know how to drive stick, right?
I actually do. I will tell you right now, I actually do know how to drive stick.
I'm passable.
The only thing is, like, do you know how to drive stick, David? Is that you?
Passable.
Passable? Passable's good enough. You don't have
So,
to.
so passable for me when I hear that is you grind it until you find it.
No, I'm a little bit above grinding.
Okay.
Good. That's all I need.
That was my sister when we were in high school.
Yep. Oh man, your mother went looking for a new car and she complained about the lack of options. See, that's the problem I'm having here. Every time I get a manual, I end up getting like the bottom rung vehicle. Like it's always the worst vehicle out there because no options. It's got nothing. It's just boring because you're obviously only buying this because you're cheap. And it's like, no, I'm buying it because I believe in manual transmission. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't realize like manuals, they have like their own way of doing things. And sometimes they're a lot better than than normal
Yeah.
automatic.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I'm not knocking people who like to drive automatics. It's fine. I just hate the fact that the assumption is if I'm driving manual, it's because I'm cheap. I hate that assumption. My sister, we've talked about her before. My sister goes into a Mercedes dealership. I'm not kidding, a Mercedes dealership. And she's looking at these Mercedes, and the salesman comes up and she's like, I'd like this model, but I want to know if you guys have it in a stick. And the guy goes, it's not that much cheaper to get a manual transmission. And she looked at him and said, okay, bye, and walked out and went over to the Audi dealership. And she's like, yeah, think that I'm in here to buy it cheaper? It's just like, she was so offended because she's a car person too. She likes her cars. She likes to have good cars that work well. And she also likes manuals because she's part of my family. And I don't know.
You guys all like manuals.
Right? Well, and it's been very useful because it is actually kind of funny. We were in Germany and, because we were moving around stuff. So I was in Germany with her and we were going to go get a car and drive to Berlin. And so we were going to take the Autobahn.
I sorry, I have to stop your story for a second. Brent, yes, car thieves do not like manuals. They are harder to steal.
I never read the manual, though. We're just saying. Yes, I heard that too. Oh, some user that's making me so mad. But yeah, so anyway, okay, so we go to Germany, and we were like, we're gonna go from Wiesbaden all the way to Berlin, and so she goes to the rental place, and she wants to rent a car, and she can't get anything but this little like Renault, and we and she's like, it'll be fine. So we show up. And it's this like rinky-dink little Renault, and we're like, So, but it was a manual, and the funniest part was to watch the two guys at the counter, the rental counter, because they were like handing us the keys, but they had that look on their face of, oh, you're two Americans, you're gonna hate it because it's a manual. So of course we got in, we started it up, and drove off. And I watched in the rearview mirror, and they're like, they're not going to complain about it. They can drive a stick, It's like we have this reputation now that nobody can drive a stick here.
Yeah, and also at the same time, it's like, I mean, I get why a lot of people don't prefer stick.
Oh, sure.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
It is a lot of work to learn how to drive it. And it can be very intimidating to learn on how to drive it if it's like, but if you learn on how to do a manual as your first car,
yep, you can drive anything.
Having an automatic.
Yep. So some user, as a side note, that whole thing you're talking about there with the it's not just the electric cars. It's they're also locking their gas cars too. So they're governing the gas cars' top speeds. And I have had long, arduous discussions with Pepper's husband about this, because this is like Bill's hot button. It's like he will go on for days about this.
Do not mention this. Do not mention the subject to my husband, please.
Because he will go on and on.
Because it will continue even after you're done talking to him.
Right. He will still be mad. But
yeah.
I keep telling Bill, it's the thing. If I bought the car, then I'm going to take it to a programmer, and they're going to unlock that. You know what I mean? Like, it won't take long. It's the same thing with people complaining about electric car batteries. it's 24 bolts, and I need a transmission lift, and that's it. And I
Mhm.
can swap it out. I mean, it's 3 plugs, 24 bolts, and a transmission lift. Oh no, Brent's summoning your husband. Brent
Brent,
is
what are
sum-
you trying to do? What are you trying to do? No.
Brent
No.
is causing trouble.
A
Mm.
lot of them too.
Yes. No. I do not need my husband coming in here to talk about that stuff.
Brent is causing trouble.
Actually, yeah, some user, you're right.
Yeah.
They will probably, they'll say you broke your warranty by doing that.
Yep. Oh, I'm sure they will. You're probably right.
So,
However, we just bought a 2015 Leaf, and here's the thing: electric cars go a lot longer than gas cars on parts. Like, there's just not that many parts to an electric car, so there's not a lot to break. So the thing is that I'm not as worried about a warranty, just disconnecting a warranty on a Leaf as I am, say, on a gas car, because a gas car, no matter which way you do it, a gas car is going to. Well, yeah, and I mean Brent's right. There's not as many moving parts, but not only is there not as many moving parts, a gas car runs at about 475 degrees Fahrenheit. Right? That's hot. That's enough that at about 510 or 520, metal starts to melt. This is why you have to have a cooling system in these cars, because otherwise they'll melt down. Right? But an electric car doesn't run at that temperature at all. Electric car runs barely above about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's actually one of my wife's ongoing gripes. Is the only problem with an electric car that she's got with it is when it snows on her car, the snow never melts. She can drive all over town, and the snow on the hood will never melt. So yeah, there are benefits to these electric cars that people aren't looking into, but I'm not as worried about the warranty because the motors in those are pretty swap outable, and oh yeah, it is true. That is what I would recommend as well. If you are driving stick, and you come around a corner, you'll slow down, put the car in second gear, coast around the corner, and then let the clutch out whenever you're straight. And the reason for that is because you want to have both hands on the wheel while you're going around a turn. So you want to keep both hands on the wheel at the turn. You don't want to be shifting while going through the turn. So you put the clutch in, you put it in second gear, coast around the turn, you come back out straight, and you let the clutch out, and then by then you're in second, and which is where you want to be coming out of the turn anyway. But that's why we do that.
Gotcha.
So, and it's so that both hands stay on the wheel, because most accidents happen during a turn, and that's when you need to have the most control of the vehicle. So you need to have both hands on the wheel when you come around a turn. So we always put the clutch in, put it in second, coast around the turn, and then let the clutch out.
Okay.
Although, sounds to me like some user, you were instructed to keep the clutch out. We say out instead of up, but I'm assuming that's what you mean is let the clutch out. So you let your foot off the clutch, which leaves the vehicle in gear. which that's fine. I don't see any problem necessarily. Thinking it through mechanically in my head, I don't see why that'd be a problem. But I mean, it should be okay in theory. So I would recommend pressing the clutch in and putting it in second gear and leaving it in neutral through the turn. But that's only because, well, I don't know. You have mountains where you are too. So, I mean, mountain
Also,
driving,
I'll be
snow
back.
driving, stuff like that. You want to make sure that you're not powered during a turn either, because that'll keep it from spinning out. Yeah. No. That's what you should be doing. In a turn, you should put the clutch in, brake, then let off the brake, go around the turn, and then once you have straightened out, let the clutch up and give gas. But you don't want to be braking or accelerating in the actual turn itself, because if you do, you'll lose control of the vehicle on ice. So if you've got that as your normal practice, and that's the way you normally drive, you're doing fine. Because on dry pavement, it's not going to make any difference. But if you hit gravel, or if you're hitting snow or ice, you want to be unpowered through the turn. So no brakes, no gas as you come around the turn. So what you do is you brake really good before you come up to the turn, and then let off the brakes, coast, and then whenever you come around the other side of the turn, accelerate. Yeah, because the one thing that will make you lose control of the vehicle is trying to change the speed of your wheels. Right? I feel like it's not driving. Automatics, I never feel like I'm driving. I feel like I'm just a passenger in those cars. But I had Andy's daughter, as I was teaching her how to drive stick out in the parking lot here. And after we went through our first 2 lessons, she was like, I really like this. And I'm like, right? She's like, I feel like I've really got control of the vehicle. And I'm like, right? Just feels like you're connected to the road. I think I have made a convert. I think she'll be interested in getting a stick as time goes on. She's looking at a Jeep, though. Just a roll hazard, but that's okay. Man. I just tolerate it. Hey. Should be. The other nice thing is you'll be doing 2 translations going back and forth. They're just high centered. That's all. They just have a high center of gravity. There's nothing wrong with the Jeep at all. It's just high centered, narrow wheelbase, high centered gravity. Oh yeah. You should always do that too. Downshift to keep your foot off the brakes as much as possible. But all of our brakes are what we call ventilated. So the brake rotor has little fans inside there. So when you apply the brakes, it clamps down. The caliper will clamp down on the rotor, and as long as you're riding that, it heats up. So as long as you can let up every so often, then the fans in there will cool the brake pads back down and cool your rotors back down. So when you're coming down a mountain, you want to downshift and let the engine pull the car back as much as possible. And you still use the brakes, but you're going to use the brakes to brake the vehicle, but you want to let up the brakes every so often. And to Brent, yeah, the only thing you want to know is that the neutral light that you've got usually, you'll be translating that in your brain to taking the shifter knob and just moving it back and forth to make sure it's in neutral. Because you've got the neutral light tells you when you're in neutral on a cycle, but you don't have a neutral light in your car. So instead, you just shake the gear shift back and forth, and that gives you the same effect as knowing you're in neutral, and that allows you to keep your foot off the clutch, or take your foot off the clutch. Little blue neutral lights. I have absorbed a ton of information. I think you should even go downhill in an automatic in lower gears.
You're supposed to.
Yep. Downshift. That's why we have those. I always say that to the kids. I'm like, why does it say 3, 2, 1 on here? Is that because it's a countdown to lifting off? 3, 2, 1, lift off.
Yes.
Yes. David's like, that's it. Sorry for doing driver's ed on here. It's instinctual. I am kind of looking forward to the ID Buzz.
On a side note, I will be taking over the stream to talk about how to do proper cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
Proper what?
Cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
Sounds like an important thing to know, though.
CPR?
Yeah. I mean, like,
So,
not. All joking aside, I hope everybody here is CPR trained or certified. I certainly am.
I'm legally required to.
Will you, if you want to be part of Quack? Wait, no. Just it's all good.
No, I have to be able to resuscitate a baby.
You do. Which, again, with you are getting better skills than we did as parents, and that's not cool. They should require all of us to be able to know CPR before we have kids. I'm glad to know that you are required to know CPR, though. Infant CPR is kind of weird. Like, not weird, but I don't know. Sad? I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Learning infant CPR was always like, oh.
I've done infant CPR on a child.
I'm sure you have. You know, not saying it doesn't happen, just saying it's sad.
Mine was usually in case of infant or shaken baby syndrome.
Yeah. My sister is sending a zillion pictures of her cats. Which is fine by me. She has adorable cats, so that's it. Shaken baby syndrome.
Yeah, they'll shake this child so hard that they go unconscious.
Yeah, I know. I know what it is. I can't even imagine. I was very frustrated with the kiddo many a time. Never frustrated enough to shake him. Even now, as a relatively grown-up kiddo, I still can't imagine shaking it. You know what I mean? Like he's a big kid now. I mean, well, relatively speaking.
It's usually followed up by something else more traumatic. So they shake the child and like drop him.
Yeah. Yeah, I just can't imagine shaking the baby. You know what I mean? Like,
well, when the child's been crying for like 14 hours straight.
One of the trainings that we had to do, me and Bill, we literally were told, like, if you feel like you're getting frustrated, if you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, if you feel like you're doing all of this, have all of these emotions while the child is crying, know that you need to step away from the child.
Yep.
They literally told us, like, you need to stay away from the child, you need to leave.
Leave the room. Transfer to the other parent.
Not even that. You should lay the child in a crib and leave. Like everybody should leave the room.
Yeah. I mean, and that's probably more accurate. I mean,
allow the child to
there were times when he was super frustrated. He didn't sleep unless you walked away. You had to walk away. He was an abandoned baby, one of those where I'm not abandoned baby, but where you have to walk away from the child for him to cry himself to sleep. Was what he had to do. He always had to cry himself to sleep.
Self-soothing.
And like my wife's mom just would not believe that. She wouldn't accept it. And so I told her, I said, you're going to have to let him cry himself to sleep. And she was like, I won't. And I mean, she was doing I'm drawing the line. I won't do that. And I'm like, okay, you do you. The next morning, she was literally sitting there in the rocking chair and he was still crying. And she could not get it. I mean, like the next morning at like 7 a.m., he had cried the entire night. And it was like, and she was like, I am so exhausted. And I'm like, yeah, you should have just let him cry it out. And she's like, I didn't want to abandon him. And I'm like, I understand the feeling. Trust me. This is a hard lesson for us to learn as well. But yeah, and I think she's still resentful of me for that. I feel like that's part of what why we have clash. And it makes me sad. I think.
Well, I will tell you for a fact.
To me,
that self-soothing is a thing.
Sure. I mean, there are all kinds of things that, as a parent, you just have to learn.
Yeah.
Your results may vary from kid to kid. My kid, boy, he's a bullheaded child. He's just strong-willed. Good kid. Nothing wrong with him. He's just strong-willed. But he is willing to wait you out. I love him to the end of the world, but he is deaf. Even that, as frustrating as he has been in my day, I just still can't imagine shaking him. However, that said, my dad, who is super peaceful and like not a mean bone in his body, told me a story about when I was a kid because I had colic and I cried
You were
all
a
the
colicky
time.
kid?
Huh?
You were a colic kid?
I was a colicky kid. And he said there was one night he was trying to get me to go to sleep, trying to get me to go to sleep. And I just cried and cried and cried. And he had this sudden image of him just throwing me against the wall. And he said, so I put you down in the crib and I walked away. And he was like, that was where I was like, uh-oh. So, I mean, I understand it. I understand that the instinct is, it's just interesting. I don't know. I can't imagine it myself. It doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't happen. I couldn't imagine it myself. I never got pushed to that step, I guess. I guess mostly because I just kind of always, when the kid got too much, I just put him down. You know? I'm like, well, I'm okay with leaving you here for a while. You can cry yourself to sleep. I'm okay with that.
Yep, I did that with my niece all the time.
Yep. Like, you're good, man. You're not dead. You've been fed. You know?
Change your diaper.
Yep. Change diaper. We're good. All's
You want
good.
to keep crying? Fine. You can lay in the crib and cry.
You lay right here and cry. I'll be in the other room if you need me. And generally speaking, I'd come back about 10 minutes later. It just sounds horrible. Like, listen to old Irish music. And killing babies seems to be a theme. Oh my god.
That sounds about right.
Yep. I don't doubt it at all. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, don't doubt it.
No, when I was watching my younger siblings when they were really young, I think I only had one of them that had like you constantly had to carry them or they would start crying.
Right.
So that was frustrating.
Yeah.
But then, like my nephew, like most of like all 3 of my nephews, you just set them down and they were completely quiet. So long as they were fed and changed,
Like I
they
said,
never made a sound.
your results may vary.
Yeah, so
So
I
it's
think,
like,
my 3 oldest nephews were kind of the same way for me, at least. Their parents, that may vary, because I would only see them every once in a while, not every day. So
that's the thing about being a parent is you can't just listen to the stories of other parents necessarily because the results may vary. That's why I try to give you as much advice as I can, Pepper, but it comes quantified. You know? With the this is what I had with my kiddo. You've met my kiddo and you know he turned out okay. So
I think I scare or weird your kiddo out all the time. So
my kiddo likes you too. I think he's more your kind of person than Bill. I think Bill's the one that intimidates him a little because Bill's quiet and reserved. My kid is loud and obnoxious. So
I mean,
the
last
Bill-
time you guys came
you and
over,
I are both loud and obnoxious as well. So I think he empathizes with us a lot better.
yeah, I think though, I wish that he got to play around with my game system when he was here because he did like the little cube that I had.
Yeah.
The little cube thing that I showed him that I keep my games in.
Yep.
press the button, and all of a sudden it opens up, and there's all the games. So.
Oh, yeah. Some user. I know that song. Yep.
Are you singing Irish songs again?
Again?
Yeah.
Yep. Some users like, wait, you know that song? Uh-oh. If I could be a soup, what kind of soup would you be?
Oh,
Question on chat.
broccoli, cheddar broccoli.
Cheddar broccoli. Really?
Yes.
That's soup.
I would be potato soup. Hearty on the outside and on the inside.
Mushroom soup. Some users going to be mushroom soup.
Well, okay. Let me go back to your potato soup comment. Are you a loaded baked potato soup or just a normal potato soup?
Probably just a normal. I don't have enough emotional advancedness to be a loaded potato soup.
So you don't need the bacon, the cheese,
Nah.
and all of that stuff.
Just give me the basic hearty soup.
Gotcha.
Did we
Just enough for survival.
Did we apply emotion to soup?
I did.
Well, there you go. And you heard it here first, folks. We've applied emotions to soups. Just for you, Dr. Cheese.
But it is 10:58. I am starting to get a hunger headache.
Yep. We'll have to be back again later. And now I cannot get the River Sawyer. Thanks, some user.
Dr. Cheese Slice. Yes.
Oh, Tony the Tiger, because they're great
Answers.
I'm okay with it.
Alright. Guy, are those naked people?
Always people.
My God.
My
Naked maquettes.
naked people. Right here on stream. Except they're not they're naked cats, but right here on stream.
Exactly.
What in the world is this world coming to?
Are those naked maquettes?
Alright.
All right, we're almost at the end of our stream, guys.
Just
So-
one more minute.
Who are following?
Wait a second. Who's the floating dude there?
We stream every day from 9 a.m. Mountain Time, Mountain U.S. time, to 11 a.m. Mountain U.S. time, and we stream at night from 10 p.m. Mountain U.S. time
Except for
to.
the weekends.
You can join us either time. And I appreciate you guys for being here. It was good chatting with you, some user. It was good chatting with you, Dr. Cheese, which we'll call you Tony the Tiger for, because that was actually funny. And it was good chatting with you, Brent, but you missed all the good stuff. We'll see you all later. And until then, as always, remember to keep your eyes on the stars.
Good morning.
Good morning. Bye-bye.